Okay, everybody, we have Phil Laplante, the vice president, co-owner of Ideal Roofing, the largest family-owned metal roof company in Canada. And I want to introduce you guys to Phil. Phil, please tell everyone about yourself. Let everyone know what you do and a little bit about Ideal Roofing.
Perfect. Thank you, Danny, for the intro, and thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So Ideal Roofing, family-owned company since 1929. So my great-grandfather and his brother started the company way back when in Ottawa, and we've been here now generation after generation. So my grandfather passed it out to my father and his brother, and every couple of years we keep growing. 2008, we opened in Brampton, Ontario. A location out there, and then just recently, last year, we opened in Moncton, New Brunswick, and we keep servicing. We're servicing all of Ontario and the East Coast, all the way to the East Coast, Ontario, Quebec, the East Coast, and then from Detroit, Michigan, all the way down to New Jersey, Delaware, and all the New England states in the United States. We're also shipping products now into Alberta, into pretty much everywhere else in the U.S. as well.
I remember when we were in high school, didn't you guys ship to Nevada? Isn't one of the hotels in Vegas has your roof product on it or something?
No, I wish, but
yeah,
we shipped
okay, I thought you went that far down.
Yeah,
no?
we ship a steel shingle. We ship a steel shingle right now into Florida with all the hurricanes and everything like that. We've shipped them Calgary, we shipped them in Banff, nice resorts, golf areas in different parts of the United States, but no landmark hotel. We're quoting on we quoted on the Buffalo Bills Stadium. Let's say the structural steel there. We're quoting probably on the Washington Stadium that's going to be coming out soon. So those landmarks, the Ottawa Senators, that's all our steel. The whole siding, the whole building is all ours from way back when.
That's very good. And if people didn't catch that, he said 1929. So it's almost 100 years old. So it's older than most countries you're thinking about today. And that's crazy, 100 years. So it's your great-grandfather started it. From a small shop near a train station, you were saying?
Correct. It was the old train station they used to do, basically Ottawa down to New York. They were kicked out basically by the government, maybe 20 years down, and then they moved.
They took over the land.
Took over the land. Yeah. How do you say that? But and then they took over the land, and then they moved to right on Michael Street. Very small shop. And then it expanded year after year. I don't remember my father's stories when he was growing up. Basically, in the summers, my grandfather would buy property, and then they would turn next door houses. They would put them down and then expand. So they expand an extra 50 feet the building, and then they would keep building and keep going. So it was residential. Funny part, it was all residential way back when, except a big shop. And then they slowly took all the residential out, put a bunch of industrial, and now they wanted to go back into residential. So now it's all commercial area, but they want to go back into residential. So
yeah, but you guys are still there today. I can't picture Michael Street being residential. It's all commercial. They sell cars on that street.
Correct. Car dealerships near us. I know Richcraft is behind us, and we rent some buildings from them because we're sort of landlocked. Yeah. But ever since they said that they could put some high rises, they want to buy us, we want to buy them.
Oh yes, the zoning change. Oh, the density. It's a good spot for.
It'd be a great spot, and especially now that you go even higher in Ottawa.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah, there's a lot of mid-rises near you and a couple of high-rises actually.
A couple of high-rises now that just went up.
That's pretty cool. And when people, just so people understand, the metal roof, he also does metal siding and metal, he's the manufacturer of the metal, doesn't install the metal. It's not like a typical roofer. When you think of Ideal Roofing, don't think of a typical roofer putting shingles on your roof. You can think of them as the manufacturer who sells the product that the installers put on. You guys are in all the Home Depots, I'm thinking, in Ottawa, we see your product in Home Depot, and then there's another company called Wakefield.
So Ideal Roofing's the company, and then we have different products. So you were saying, we do residential houses, we do agricultural as well. We're strictly the manufacturer. So we're the manufacturer, and then we sell through wholesale. So the Home Depots, the RONAs, the Castles, Home Hardware, Timber Mart, all the big groups, all the lumberyards. So we don't sell direct to anyone. We sell through basically lumberyards. All our lightweight profiles. After that, we do also commercial steel. That's a big part of us that we sell to the big GCs, the big that are putting up these buildings. For example, a hospital or anything, government buildings. We're bidding on those army bases, and it's the industrial guy that would actually buy the material. The structural steel we sell as well. So anything that's flat roof, composite roofs. Flat roof and flooring as well. And then we also have basically another big area, 40% of our business is steel service center. So that's everything that buys, everyone that buys flat sheets, cut sheets, or slit coils, full coils. So we'll sell to the ductwork guys, anything when that's humidifiers, that's making humidifiers, the HVAC shops we're selling to as well, from walk-in fridges to pop machines, anything that you think of with metal. So that's a whole little niche. The old computers, right? You'd have basically a little desktop, and then you'd have the hard shell metal. That was all metal, and we'd sold to that guy way back when. Now they're almost unheard of. No one's buying them anymore. But so that was anything you could possibly think of metal we're selling. So ceiling fans, skylights, lights.
Because just so people understand, you receive this large roll from wherever.
Correct.
Those rolls that people see on Instagram, or like the rolls that can kill people. Like how many tons is each roll? Like,
well, they're 40,000 pounds.
40,000 pounds.
40,000 pounds, depending on the weight limit of certain buildings we have. Like I said, we've expanded our building. So Ottawa, compared to our Brampton location, we can receive 40,000 pounds. Ottawa, normally the max is 20,000 pound coils that we're receiving. So someone buys them like ourselves, we reduce them. So we'll buy 40,000 pounds, run it onto a machine, reduce it into two 20,000 pound coils.
Okay.
And then a lot of customers can't receive it. Guys that are doing spiral duct, for example, they can receive maybe 2,000 pound. So we'll reduce it, we'll cut it to their width, and then we sell it to them, and then we'll ship it to them that way.
Yeah, because they cannot receive a 20,000. You're like, okay, I'll chop this up to 10.
Correct.
Give it to them 10 times.
Tens or 100 or 1,000 pounds or however they need it for their capacity.
That's pretty good. Because there's special machineries that you guys have that can unroll or roll and cut and bend and do whatever you can with these huge coils.
Correct.
20 to 40,000. And Brampton's a new location?
Brampton was 2008, and we invested with all basically state-of-the-art machines. And then again in Moncton, that's a even newer model. 2 years ago we bought the building. We just opened it last year, let's say, or had our grand opening. And that's again even more state-of-the-art machines. Machines incredibly change every year after year and get more expensive and expensive.
Yeah.
But you get.
I heard the problem with those type of machines is the maintenance cost. That's like the machine's expensive to start, but then there's a maintenance annual or monthly, like somebody coming to visit and maintaining them. That's the
correct.
If you buy the machine, it's like
that type
someone
of skills,
flies out of Germany or something.
All the best machineries come out of Europe, right? So and they're maybe wholesaled from guys in the U.S. as well. So we bought a line during COVID, and we needed the technicians and the experts from the U.S. to come, right? And that was insane amount of nightmare. We were deemed essential during COVID, but meanwhile we couldn't get a machine installed because it was an American guy coming to help.
Oh no! So it's just a machine sitting in your shop.
Just a machine sitting, and we had issues with signed paperwork, get government clearance, and all that. But it just shows all, like you said, the servicing a machine. Typically, the stay there. There's cheap machines out there you can buy from China or Asia right now that are maybe 80,000. Our machines are coming in at $1 million to $5 million
from Germany or something.
Mainly. Basically, there used to be manufacturers in Canada, barely any. All the parts were coming from the U.S. And then U.S. are wholesaling machines from Europe, right? So from Germany and then they're wholesaling them. And the parts, the engineers are coming from the U.S. or from Europe. And they're coming down to service these. And
do they come in there like scientist outfits?
No, not anymore. But
not anymore, eh?
But now with technologies,
they come in with their Crocs now, probably. I heard you say, you were saying that you bid in the U.S. and how's I know that I guess the tariffs haven't started, but they're starting soon, and I've noticed there's a lot of U.S. companies or. Like example, appliance companies, they would say, oh, the tariffs are coming, so they're upping their prices now to prepare themselves for the tariffs, example, whatever. I forgot if it was GE or whatever. So in your case, are you guys prepared for the tariffs, or is it like just like how does it work for you? Like you're bidding over there, what if you win the bid and then the tariffs start and you're like, wait, am I like, are they gonna still keep, like, is there like a exit clause on these contracts? You know, like, it must be like a weird times is what I'm saying.
Very, very weird times. Well, the steel and aluminum, we already had a tariff hit.
Yeah.
So it hit raw coils.
So you guys already have the tariff.
We already have a tariff. So right now, if we buy anything from the U.S., we're getting nailed with the 25, our counter tariff. And then when we're selling into the U.S., coils or like our steel service center, anything that's coils or raw metal, that's 25%. So that was let's say it was an important part of our business that we were selling into the U.S., and that was just killed right there because we couldn't absorb the 25%.
And they're not going to
And then they're not going to remove it. Then Trump wanted to do his double tariff. So that's the new tariff that he's going to do on everything that's Canadian. The first one he did a world tariff to avoid Chinese dumping steel into the U.S., but he did a world tariff, 25% on everyone in the world.
Oh, man.
Canada in there as well. But he wants to do a specific one on Canada, so 50%. And that would hit really roofing and everything. And that one would really basically kill our sales into the U.S. What's happening right now, like you say, a lot of people are let's say, forecasting or trying to get sales in before the increases. There's 2 mills in Canada left, and then there's U.S. mills. When you can't buy from a U.S. mill and you can't buy from anyone else right now, because of these tariffs, now the 2 Canadian mills are using that to their advantage, and they're starting to bring their prices up. Right? You look at Sherwin-Williams paint that's going on these steel coils is made in the U.S., shipped into Canada, so there's a tariff on that. So now there's a premium on paint. There's a premium on zinc. There's a premium on everything that they're trying to get up. Right? So
so complicated tariffs back and forth. Correct. Everyone's paying for it.
Everyone's paying for it. So it's definitely. Everyone's going to pay for it. In the U.S. right now, steel price is up like 35%. So they're way over it, right? So Trump's promise, but he is getting a lot of companies going, right? So a company like ourselves, if we want to keep that business, we might have to move into the U.S., open a plant in the U.S. to keep it, because we're not getting help here, right?
That's true. Is there a company in the U.S. that you can just absorb or like buy? Maybe
correct. As a Canadian, to open in the U.S. would be very tough. From scratch, we'd have to buy someone.
Usually it's better to. They say it's cheaper to just to buy it.
Correct. Take over a good business in the U.S. definitely would be some. We'd have to have it central between all our customers, because, like you said, there's clauses where we can get out of because of the tariffs. We can blame the tariffs. A lot of our customers, if we do that to them, we sting with them. You
lost them forever.
We'll lose them forever, right? We've been in there for 60 years.
Because you're still part of that old school business style. Like, still, like, I know there's no handshakes, but you're still part of that. Like, you're in the metal business, so it's like old people business, right? So if you screw them, or if you back out of a deal, they'll remember it and try to, I'm not going to the roof, I'll go to this little guy, whatever type of thing. Correct.
We got a lot of loyal customers all over the U.S. that we couldn't do that to them. So
and the thing is, what people don't understand is, when you're in the manufacturing business, the margins are tight. Like, every dollar is counted for, every employee is counted for. Like, because there's you guys have union fees, you guys have, obviously in Canada there's extra tax and EI, and there's your utilities, your insurance,
Correct. The costs are going up 24/7, right? Every year the costs keep going up. We do have a union in our Ottawa plant, not in our Brampton, not in the Moncton. We do have a union, so working with them always wanting everything. And like you said, the cost of living, it keeps going up. And it's going up drastically. They want more money. I've always said the easiest way of getting more money is we lower taxes. We live in Canada, we're paying a fortune in taxes. We're paying over half your salary in taxes.
That's hard.
Yeah, you get a 10% decrease. There's your 10% that the employees want more, right? And if you're competing with the U.S., in Florida, example, where there's 0% tax.
I heard this. So in Florida, you get 0%.
0% state tax. So you only have the federal tax,
federal
right?
Tax, yeah.
And you got 0% basically when you're buying stuff, compared to us, where you're paying 13% sales tax, plus your salaries tax, plus your carbon tax when your gas in to go, right? So it's tax, I find, in Canada.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes it hard.
We did a math. There was a mom. We saw her salary. Her salary was, it's on the high end. Government employee was like 116 or something, right? 116,000. And she was not able, like, she had no debt, but she was not able to pay her car loan, car insurance, and 2 kids in daycare, and like her mortgage or rent. It's like that. Even at that high, you can't. You need to have a partner just to pay like that, because after taxes there's so much that comes off.
Correct.
That there's no more you might as well stay home. Even at that level, even at $100,000, you might as well stay home because you're just making a little bit more on top, but you have someone else taking care of your kids.
Correct.
So it is actually, sucks to say, but it's actually financially better for her to like go on social services or something.
Yeah, and not work.
And she makes over 100K. Yeah, isn't that
insane.
crazy?
It's insane.
Because the taxes are so high and the union fees and,
Yep.
when you work for government, you still got to pay your dues. And
you got to pay your dues, you got to pay everything. And like you said, you have kids, I have kids.
Yeah.
All these daycares are through the roof. And then if you bring your kids to school, private schools, all that, you're paying a fortune. But it's
put them
crazy.
in hockey, if you put them in any sports.
Yeah. So everyone wants an increase, and everything's going up, right? When you're paying $6 a banana these days, you're not getting by.
You said
crazy.
that. So yogurt, banana. It was funny. It was like three things: yogurt, banana, and bread was almost $20.
Yeah.
$20 for a yogurt. It was like, let's say, I don't know, whatever, Greek yogurt, and a bunch of bananas and a loaf of bread. Obviously, they're like they're good quality yogurts, good quality bananas or whatever, good quality. But it's almost $20. You're like. This used to be growing up. They're all $1. Everything was like the bunch of bananas was $1 something, and the bread was always $1 to $2, and then your yogurt was maybe $2 or $3. This would never reach $20.
No.
Now you're going using $20 now.
People don't seem to understand it. Like you said, the bananas, for example, they come from Mexico or the U.S.
Yeah,
we're slamming them with the tariff on it right away, and then they come here, and then that guy loading the shelves at a grocery store is making minimum wage, and you're going to bring him up to $18. Well, you're $18 to take the bananas off his kid and put them on the shelf. There goes your price, and then people think it's normal. They want to bring. Our government wants to bring minimum wage to $25. How much do you think those bananas are going to be worth when the guy putting them on the shelves is worth $25 an hour? And I get it. You need like you said, 100 and. They're saying 150,000 now for you to live comfortably in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
150,000. You bring that to like half of Europe or in Africa or South America or even Asia. You're living like a king or queen. But in Canada, you're breaking even.
Exactly. And you're not part of the 1%. You're not living life. But
I get it. We're making Canadian dollars, I guess. I don't know. There's a math that I can't crack. I can't crack the code, but if it keeps going this way, the people with assets are going to just keep going and getting more and more.
Correct.
Yeah, the people with assets and that are holding the valuable assets, they're just going to get richer and richer because there's no way it's going to catch up.
No,
it's going to be to a point where I said this to had Ian Lee on our podcast last week or 2 weeks ago. And I was telling him, I said, if you go to Europe, like there's a lot of places in Europe. It's very old. So Canada's like 160 years old, about, right?
Yeah.
Your company's 100 years old, 60 years before Canada was born. In Europe, the countries are older. They're like 400 or 500 years old. Like a lot of,
sure.
So they're older. But those countries that are very, very old, we're just not there yet. But if at one point there's like a couple owners that own like all of the core, like the like you go to Rome, there's no for sale signs, there's no Remax sign. You go to Paris, there's no for sale sign, because the original people that are there own everything.
Yep.
So they kept it, and they're just getting wealthier and wealthier. That's what's going to happen to Canada, where we're just 200 years behind.
Well, 100%.
Yeah, where you can't buy anything.
Our next generation, our kids, they won't ever own a house, right? They say most people will never own a house. They're going to rent for the rest of their lives. So we're fortunate. I have rentals. I got a real estate as well portfolio. And you have as well. And we're fortunate.
You're fortunate your grandfather took the risk.
Yeah, 100%. The business was passed on.
Great-grandfather took the risk.
But
probably
again,
smoking a cigarette while cranking out piles of metal. Yeah, there's a guy who took a risk a long time ago.
Yeah, the risk paid out for sure. Paid out lots.
Your grandfather then bought the buildings on Michael and kept buying. That was a genius idea. That was a grandfather, right? And then your dad and uncle, and then so luckily they held on to it.
Keep buying land in different areas. Like I said, then we expanded out east and bought land out there to build.
Yeah.
And out east, the pricing was still basically decent, but that's climbing like crazy as well. So.
Yeah, East is a big surprise right now. East was a very affordable part of Canada and excited to go because you get a lot for your money. Now it's not so much.
It's catching up.
Up. And you've studied a lot. I want like everyone to know because you're in the business of, I guess, of tariffs. So you study a lot about the tariffs. And do you feel like it's going to be it's going to be a long winter or a long haul until they take the tariffs off, or do you think it's like one of those do you think it's one of those like political ploys, or do you think it's actually going to be here for a while? Like, what do you think about tariffs?
No, I think it's a political ploy a little bit. I think Trump hated Trudeau. That was a big part. I think Trudeau never had what it needed to go negotiate. It's a negotiating tactic that Trump's doing right now. He wanted Carney to win. He got Carney to win. He might have placed him there. Who knows? But he had Carney to win. I'm hoping it's going to be a short and it's going to be all settled. That's what I'm wishing. It's going to be settled shortly. I think that was the mandate for them. That's why he skewed everyone to go vote for, let's say, for Carney, because it was a politics game. Who's going to be answering Trump the best? And we need these tariffs to go. And I'm hoping that we're right. And hopefully next week he's visiting Trump, and that tariffs are going to be off the table for the stock market's taking a dive.
Like Carney is like he's a banker. He's like a black belt banker. You know, he's been around for a long. You know what I mean? Like if you move up, he's like the GSP of like bankers. You know, like as high as you can go. And Trump knows bankers. He borrows money. There's lenders and there's borrowers in an investment, and Trump is a borrower. He borrows money to buy buildings and develop, and you know so they must have crossed paths at one point.
100%.
Yeah, so they must know. Like I'm thinking, they must know each other. That hopefully they can use their connections and like ease off on small little Canada right now, because Canada's we just want to bend metal and.
That's exactly what I'm hoping. Like I said, I'm hoping Carney's relationships in Asia and in Europe and all that, that's not going to help our business. That's not going to help Canadians, right?
Europe is not the answer. It's the U.S.
The U.S. is tied to us. We're border countries, basically. We need to...
Well, think about this. You said 40,000 pounds is one of those big coils.
Yep.
How much do you think it would cost to send that to Europe on a boat?
Oh, yeah,
it would the gas. No, there's no way you're sending that to Europe.
No, there's steel coils coming from Europe, from Asia, let's say, into Canada, that they're dumping steel and all that. But we're delivering stuff twice a week to our customers. We're 48 hours to cut the length. If you're it's
what I'm trying to say is it's way cheaper to send to the U.S.
Oh, 100%.
It's 1 hour away.
Yeah,
you can get to you said Michigan. Okay, you said New York.
Yeah.
So who's your closest customer? Is it Syracuse?
Well, we got some right across the water.
That's right across.
Right across the water, we have customers.
You have a U.S. customer 1 hour away from here that you sell to.
All the border, from Cornwall across, from, let's say, Kingston across, Thousand Island.
Ideal roof trucks are in the U.S. dropping off. That's what I'm saying, is like that makes more sense
100%
than putting it on a boat and sending it for a month from now, and it's not going to be cheaper.
No, it's not going to be cheaper by a while.
And Europe is not going to buy our metal.
No, they got their own manufacturing.
They got their own Germans bending this stuff, and there's no way. I keep saying they want our fuel.
Yep.
For sure. They want our
natural
energy.
Resources.
Sure, that's what they want. They don't want our cars. They don't want our metal. The U.S. wants our cars. Wants us to build cars. Sure, that's fun. They want us to do the metal. That's good. Why? Why burn that bridge? Like, we should fix that relationship.
Correct.
I don't know, what's the saying? You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar? Is that what it is? Is that the saying?
I get somewhere. Yeah.
It should be a little nice to it. And Trump has got an ego. Very easy to be nice to. Be nice to Trump. Trump has got an ego. Sure, be nice to him and tell him he's great, and let's open that border back.
He's a businessman. It has to make sense, right? Yeah. So the trading back and forth has to make sense. Some of his tariffs make sense when you're a country and you're giving him a tariff of 50%, and he was shipping stuff to you at 0% tariff. He had to equal the playing field, right?
He figured out that, like, hey, we're not making money here.
Correct.
We're losing. They were getting the short end of the stick, is what I understand, right? They were getting short end of the stick. But for a country that's getting short end of the stick, they did pretty good. They were very successful.
They've done very well. It's like you said, it's the most powerful country, I think, in the world, right? And like you say, but they had to even out the playing field. The big issue with steel, let's say, is it's a lot of Asian steel is coming into the U.S. And that was Asian steel was coming into the U.S. way cheaper.
Really?
And they were coming into Canada as well when President Trump, and even before Trump, they had started putting tariffs on China for the anti-dumping. And what happened is a lot of these boats just came into Canada, people bought the steel and then shipped it to the U.S. So now, after that kept going, instead of Canada reacting and just putting our own anti-dumping on these boatloads of steel coming in, and
because anti-dumping, what does anti-dumping mean to like viewers at home? What does that mean?
Anti-dumping basically is just a government saying that they're going to put a duty on everyone that's selling steel into a country way below the price of their country. So,
like you're basically shorting our stocks. You're shorting our
correct. The steel mills are selling it for, let's say, I don't know, $100 a ton, and then you're coming in at 50 cents a ton or 60 cents a ton. The mills now are saying that loss of the 40 cents, that's basically they're going to go after the government. They go to court for it, and then all of a sudden they can plead their case, and hopefully they get their anti-dumping on it. So Canada has a few countries that they have into anti-dumping policies. The U.S. has more, but
so so Trump did that. He protected the U.S. by saying anti-dumping. That's
even
smart.
before Trump they had done it, but Trump reinforced it for sure.
That's smart.
And he wanted to stop the bleeding of it was coming in through Canada or in through Mexico and then coming into the U.S.
But isn't that funny how U.S. and Canada right now don't have politicians as the leaders?
Correct.
They're both not politicians.
No.
They're both business people. They're both businessmen.
Yep.
Maybe that's what we need.
Correct.
A couple businessmen to make a deal
and run the country.
That might be our benefit, because when it comes down to it, it's the businesses that actually make both countries more money. All the small little businesses, the mom and pops, and that's what builds the country.
Yeah, like I said, I was gonna vote. I voted Poilievre, and I was a big fan of Poilievre. But like you said, Carney is a businessman, so I'm hoping I'm wrong.
He's not a bad bet. Yeah. I said this. I'm like, Carney would have won if he was on. He's like, actually conservatives won by Carney's a conservative. He's more like he's gonna bring liberals more in the middle. That's what I believe. Carney would have been on any team. He would have won. He could have been on the Conservative one. He could have been on Bloc Québécois.
You've been hearing that lots. You've been hearing that lots.
He would have won. Yeah, he's just he was the how do I explain this?
He was a Trump. Everyone compared.
Yeah,
he was a Trump.
Yeah,
I called Trump to win the election in the U.S. The businessman. Everyone said no, need a politician. Trump won it hands down. And then you look in Canada, everyone said Poilievre was the Trump, but meanwhile you got a businessman.
Like liberals were they were losing to Pierre Poilievre was winning by a landslide. I think he was supposed to win majority.
Yeah.
According to polls. I forgot which poll I saw, and Carney showed up. And within a week or two, took out half the carbon tax. He started change shit right away.
Everything that Poilievre was fighting for, he started taking them all off.
Everything the whole list that Pierre wrote down, he took it all off. That's great. Okay, that's okay. That's great. And Pierre started doing the whole political game. And the liberals are very strong in the political game. They're very good at it. So don't play like Pierre just should not have played that game. He should have just stuck to his style. I kind of felt bad because he literally lost because Trump showed up.
Yeah.
If Trump didn't say, "Hey, become 51st state,"
correct. He had it. He would have won it.
So you kind of feel bad. He worked really hard.
Worked very hard.
They pulled the rug from under him.
Correct.
But Carney was, I guess, I don't know who figured it out on the liberal side, but he was the right choice, and he is not a politician.
No.
So maybe that's what people wanted.
Yep.
Not a politician.
Correct.
Trump's not a politician.
Nope.
Is Mexico's leader a politician, though? I don't even know.
I'm not sure. That woman president right now, she's doing very well, I think.
She's doing very well?
But
maybe she's a businesswoman. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on right now. It's all it's all like business people just taking over instead of the politicians. Trudeau was a politician.
Yeah.
Like he was at his breakfast table.
Arts major, went into politics.
Yeah.
So.
At his breakfast or dinner table, they probably talk politics all the time because, his family's in politics. But I think Carney is the opposite of that. I think that Carney should have been in before. Like he was really late. Like on the Liberal Party, they should have replaced Trudeau with Carney way before. Because I think there's a lot of this mess we wouldn't have been in. Is what I'm thinking.
I'm open. Like I said, I'm very hopeful for sure for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're like in the trenches. So a lot of people talk tariffs. They don't understand how they actually don't. People don't even understand that the person receiving is one paying the tariffs. So people don't understand how tariffs works. And you're like in the trenches. You're literally number one or number two of the highest tariff right? Metal?
Yeah.
Is metal like the top?
Metal's the top right now.
Metal's the top.
25% most tariff, and then they're adding another, so it would have been 50%. People
metal.
don't seem to understand. It's the consumers paying it, and then it's the companies like ourselves taking it. So definitely we're in the trenches, and our politicians don't seem to be doing much, right? You hear all these people saying that buy Canadian, and I must salute all Canadians on this. Is that like the buy Canadian is very strong.
Yeah.
Homeowners are asking my sales reps. You look at Walmart. A lot of the stickers say "Made in Canada." They're buying the Canadian. Homeowners are asking if the steel is made in Canada, if it's manufactured in Canada. They're doing it. The one area I have a real big problem. I've told you about this, Danny. Is the government jobs. Government jobs are the first ones. Whether it was Carney, whether it was Doug Ford, whether it was even Mark Sutcliffe, right? They all say that elbows up, slang, whatever. And buy Canadian, we're going to only use Canadian. Doug Ford's word, we're going to go through a fine comb and go over every government tender. We're going to make sure it's Canadian steel or Canadian manufacturers. Well, we got the perfect example. The Ottawa CHIO Hospital was given out 2 Thursdays ago to a U.S. Manufacturer. So products come from Europe, going to the U.S., manufactured in the U.S., and shipping due at 3 times the price.
Just so people know at home, what you're talking about government jobs and bids. So like you can explain to them how that works. So like the government puts out a project they want a new hospital, example.
Correct.
They put out a tender to make it fair. Anybody can bid for it. And the best quality price wins. Usually that's how it's supposed to work. It's a transparent style of doing business. So the provincial, or is it the municipality or the province?
This was sort of a joint venture. So there was someone from the federal, someone from the provincial, and someone from the municipality.
Okay.
They formed a sort of a little department on big
like a board of directors.
Big, and then there's some donors as well. They form a big directors, like you said, board of directors, and then there's an architect's out of Toronto, and they pick products, and then they decide the product that goes on there.
Yeah.
And then our installers or the general contractors, in this case here was Ellis Don. We know them very well. We're constantly talking with them on other projects.
We do other projects.
We do many other projects.
Ellis Don.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the installers that were bidding this job, from your Flynn's, your Cover Tights, Raymond Roofing, all of them that were bidding at GB, they all submitted with our products cost savings. So we went to Ellis Don, showed a cost saving, drastic cost savings to go with us. We're 5 minutes away from the.
Plus it's CHIO. Like everyone has a soft spot for CHIO.
Correct. Everyone has a soft spot.
Yeah.
We've donated stuff to their CHIO before.
Yeah.
Like it's in our backyard.
Yeah.
And what really, I guess, was the biggest piss off of all, the parking garage that's being done right now had a little bit of this CalZip panel from the U.S. and the installer is hating it. It's been 3 weeks. He's been trying to call the manufacturer. Hasn't got even an answer from him. There's a damaged panel. Who knows when he's going to get the replacement. And we're going to give him the biggest part of this job is the actual main building now with the same panel. It's nonsense.
Oh, he's currently on site?
Yeah.
And there's a product not working. So
Correct.
let's say a small portion, like 5% of the metal work is from the U.S. They got the whole job, but they're already there on 5%.
No, they only bid the parking garage.
The parking garage so far.
And the parking garage is going so badly that they're not bidding the main building.
Oh, they're not.
They pulled themselves back.
They pulled themselves out because how bad it's going.
Correct.
Okay.
But they keep calling us, calling my sales rep, my sales manager, and saying, "Look, if you guys get your product in there, we're going to bid it. But if not, we're not working with this stuff again."
Oh, so the U.S. company said you should bid on this?
No.
Locally.
Locally.
Oh, like the GCs, like
the GCs, yeah.
They said
they want our product.
They want our product, easy to work,
product
guarantee.
Correct.
Yeah, don't you guys have like hey, if it's deficient, or you just come back, pick it up, and replace it? Like, don't you guys have that?
We don't have any claims, but if we ever had an issue, we'd be there. I can tell you, a big job like this, or when the Ottawa Senators, or the Lansdowne 2.0, Lansdowne 1.0, when we were there, we had salesmen there, we had our engineers there, we had everyone there. So to make sure that everything went to a T. We're a family-owned company, and service is
CHIO.
right? It's CHIO.
We all had our kids pass by the CHIO at one point for some sort of
Correct.
thing, flu or a cold, or I don't know. We're all, And it's CHIO. Everyone has a soft spot. If they said right now they need all of Ottawa to go there and pick up shovels or pick up stuff, they would just donate their time or money. Like, that's just CHIO's probably, out of all the I don't know. Out of all the non-for-profits in Ottawa, that's the one that is the most well-funded. I think right now as we speak, I think Costco is raising. They raise every year. I think that even Costco is raising for them. I see golf tournaments always have CHIO. CHIOs, so everyone has a soft spot for them.
Yep.
So obviously a local. Well, see, that's the thing is that they don't look at it that way. I guess the government employees, they don't look at they just look at numbers on a wall or number.
Right.
So they don't know that you're a local person who does care about that job.
But you'd figure that right now, if
Elbows up. That's
up is the biggest thing. If Ford's going through all the tenders right now, looking at everything, making sure that they're Canadian. The worst part is we're seeing it on private buildings. We're seeing private buildings. We're quoting these big private buildings, and they're writing Canadian steel. Canadian manufacturers on. And you look at Calgary's event center, we're getting called for a job in Calgary, and we're getting called for jobs all over the country
because Canadian.
Yeah. And these are private. These are guys like myself, yourself, opening a building, and we're specifying that we want Canadian products, Canadian trades. And you look at governments, it's the opposite. They do good jobs from time to time. There's army bases that came out with steel, but then you have some few native projects that just came out, and they're speccing a U.S product again. So it doesn't make sense to me.
So is it the architect that's forcing the GC to use a U.S. product because the product is different? So is your metal and that U.S. product's metal a different product, or is it the same product? How are they sticking to it? How was the architect able to say, let's go pay, you said 3 times the price?
3 times the price.
So how are they able to convince the government or the municipality to pay 3 times the price for the same metal?
The architect here, I don't know. Montgomery. Using this product, I don't know why. We tried many times to get a hold of him, tried to get him switched to someone, and he keeps saying that the client or the owner, which is a city, doesn't want anything else, which doesn't make sense. We have the exact same model. They're going with aluminum, we're going galvalume. So it's a steel. It's going to be a lot stronger. The cost savings there. We did everything. This lead that they said, well, you want a lead and you want green. We're 5 minutes away. You're going to truck this stuff how many times from North Carolina? It makes no sense. Any excuse that they've been trying to pull out, it does not make sense. We've done the Civic. We've done hospital after hospital. You're looking at a product one way or the other, you're not going to notice. The trades are going to notice. They're going to save money on it. They're going to install a lot better and a lot quicker.
And they know you're right there.
And we know we're right there if there's something happen, right?
They don't got to cross no border.
Yeah.
What do you think it is? You think it's just neglect or not looking or just lazy? Is that what it is? What do you think it? What do you think?
I think there's scandals in every government level. I think there's scandals. Someone's getting paid. Someone's getting something for this product, right? How do you put a product
3 times the price?
3 times the price and improve it, especially in this time here, right? It's something of an architect seeing a product from Europe and saying, oh, wow, this would be nice on, I don't know, Ideal's new building. It's from Europe. I'm going to put it in the plans. But right now, you're that same architect. You're seeing everything that's going on. You're seeing the tariff war. You're looking twice before you put another product, unless you have something to gain, right? I don't know.
Yeah, how many people, let's say that job, I'm just doing an estimate. How many Canadians or local, even local Canadians, so they're paying literally the municipality that's in taxes. Yep. You know what I mean?
Correct.
How many would that job employ? How many people would be working on this job? How many would you think would employ in your manufacturer?
Just in my manufacturer,
local Ottawa.
In our busy season, we're 350 employees. 350 employees that pay taxes every year. 280, let's say, just out of Ottawa. For pinning just Ottawa. So 280 jobs in the Ottawa plus the sales guys, let's say, so that are employed for it. All the trades that are going to be on site, and like I said, you're 3 times the price. So I don't know, for numbers' sake, let's say the bid was about 1.5 for ours, and you're closer to 5 million with their product. Think of the doctors, like you said, the soft spot of CHIO. Think of the amount of doctors you could have more. There's lineups. Our healthcare system.
The difference in the bid is 1.5 to 5 million.
About that, it's 3 times the price. So I'd say.
I don't think local people understand that's a lot of money on steel. That's a lot of metal.
When you're waiting 18 hours at a hospital right now because we don't have enough doctors, because we don't have enough, think about what you could do, the amount of millions you could do in that hospital, right? It's.
Yeah, you for that kind of money, that's millions of dollars. You can buy everybody you can expand your whole parking. You could buy with that kind of money, you can buy a neighboring property. Yeah. Say, hey, by the way, we just bought a lot, and here's more parking for everybody, because you know how it's a nightmare to park at the hospitals.
Correct.
You can buy the lot across the road or something for $3 million.
Yeah, but on their
Just flatten it and make that a parking spot.
yeah,
Actually, you know what? Make it a charged parking spot, and it will make so much more money back to you guys if you guys want to treat it as a business. But it would actually help everybody. Make it donate. You know, like that's just I don't know.
makes no sense.
You know, there's a thing in the U.S. called Doge. Have you heard of this?
Yep,
Do you think Canada should have one?
100%. I think we need to look at spending and things like this. Cases like this need to be investigated on what happened, and then
Well, $3 million. I don't care what color your metal is. $3 million is a lot of savings. Let's just
huge.
yeah, like what you don't really care about the building as much as you care about what's in the building.
Yeah.
Let's just say you
100%.
care about the doctors and the beds and the
Correct.
service and the nurses and the staff. That's what matters more. The technology that they have inside that
Yep.
matters more.
Yep.
If we needed that, if there's like a new MRI machine we need, whatever. That's
Yep.
important.
All the machines we want
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
That's where they should be spending the money, right?
Yeah.
And
Or like if you don't know what to spend on, just buy a neighboring lot and level it and make parking.
yeah, correct.
Like it's a nightmare to park.
Yeah.
There's not enough for the staff. I think they have to like
No, not enough for staff, not enough for anyone,
No.
right?
and I don't know. Well, I don't even know what this metal. So you're saying one metal is called steel? No, they're both steel products.
One's Ideal Roofing, and then the other one's a CalZip.
CalZip. Oh, the company's called CalZip. Oh, okay.
So it's a CalZip panel.
I thought it was a CalZip was a product. Like
It's their product and their name as well.
and it has the warranties. Like you guys have like 40-year warranties.
We have 40 years. They have 20 years on top of it.
Oh, you have a 40-year warranty. They have a 20-year warranty.
Correct.
Oh, that's a big difference. There's
Big difference again.
There's a cost to having a warranty
100%.
for 40
20 years down the road, they're going to spend 3 times the same amount, 3 times Ideal Roofing to redo the same. It's crazy. Like I said, it's mind blowing.
And that's just one. Oh, you're saying most of the government bids are not going, but they're being offered to American companies. Correct. Okay. And locally, everyone's supporting. It's
Yep.
like
I'd say
locally and Canadians.
Your average
private,
Canadian and yourselves like myself,
Yep.
we're looking to support Canadian businesses. And like I said, I got no problem with the Americans. I got a lot of American friends.
Yes.
And just during this tariff thing, you're seeing a lot of people helping out, trying to buy Canadians to support employees and businesses in Canada, right? And that's the biggest thing I'm seeing is that governments that are saying it, they're not doing it. So, right, it's like what's the saying? They're gonna say something that they do as I say, not what as I do.
Yeah, that's what's going on. Have you followed the politics with Alberta?
Yes.
Have you? What do you think about okay? So Alberta, there's like polls going out. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know what the percentage of people in Alberta, but it's some sort of separation threat that they want to do. I guess in Canada, so if I understand this right, in Canada, every province has the right to separate if they have enough votes that they want to separate, right? That's how it kind of works in Canada.
That's what I heard. My wife's from out there, and my in-laws are all from out there, so I've been following it a little bit more. But yeah,
supposedly there's a percentage of people that want to be their own country, and Alberta wants to be their own country. Correct. Because they're being given the short end of the stick, supposedly.
Yep. Yeah, they're a big conservative. Gas, oil.
They're an energy province,
right?
Yeah.
And we elected someone that's carbon zero, net zero, who wants to close,
so
doesn't want to sell it. So they're very worried. And then you look at Texas, right? The amount of businesses that are growing, they're booming. This baby drill from Trump, they're going to be prosperous. They're going to be making so much money. So you look at Alberta, they want to join that. They want to make it. So if they join the United States, they are gonna they're gonna blow up. They're gonna make money. If they join. Like I said, it's gonna be a tough call. Hopefully, Canada reacts and we protect them and we do something about it.
Didn't I don't know if it's in Alberta. Wasn't there a thing called Keystone Pipeline, and it went to the U.S. from
Correct.
Alberta? Yeah,
I think it was from Alberta, but it went down and then
they shut it off.
We shut it off.
And there's literally pipes sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah,
like they just
all the building, everything that was going, they're digging it out.
Towns got closed down.
The whole thing, everything got stopped. It's still there. You would figure they would at least finish it, but that's the problem, right? Your term ends, and all of a sudden, someone gets elected in there.
Is that like a Biden?
Biden in there and Trudeau. They shut it right down. Stopped it.
And because that would have been a sweet deal for Alberta.
100%. So,
and then the U.S. as well. They need it. They need the fuel.
I think that's the bargaining chip. I think that's why I guess on top of my head, I thought Poilievre was going to win, and he'd put these tariffs away, right? That's the bargaining chip. You give Trump oil and gas resources. The deal that they have is the best deal ever, right? We ship them oil and basically or petroleum, and then they refine it and then sell it back to us more expensive. So since we don't want to have our own refineries, right? So
we don't want to invest in our own refineries. You know that's a little backwards. That's a little backwards. We have it. We have it all in Canada, but we just don't want to unleash it. Alberta got the short end of the stick there. Towns closed down. Restaurants obviously closed down. Like all the small towns.
100%.
Like Alberta's built off of a lot of small towns on the way. It's a big. It's a very big province. People, and the thing is, Alberta's smart if they are negotiating right now, because Alberta's on their feet negotiating. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, Alberta, it's not poor Alberta. Alberta literally has, I don't know, trillions of dollars of energy in the ground.
All the resources, yeah.
All the resources. So they're more negotiating on their feet. Like, they're not on their knees.
No.
If they need to negotiate with Canada or the U.S.
Correct.
But I guess Canada has, like, because Canada... Ontario, Quebec has a lot of electricity, right?
Yep.
We have a lot of dams, but we close them. That's how much we have, because like you can't hold electricity. So electricity can't be put somewhere. It's always running. That's why like lights are on all the time in the government buildings. It's cheaper to just leave them on than turning it off and back on. Like energy, that's how it is.
Okay.
So I guess we sell energy to the U.S. Ontario and Quebec.
Correct.
I think Quebec sells to the U.S. more.
Yeah.
And they have like an old like 1971 price. So, I guess we're happy with our dams and our electricity, and Alberta wants to just have that deal too with the U.S., but in oil instead of electricity.
Correct.
But Trump and Alberta doesn't want to do that deal right now. Like they don't want
Well, I think Trump wants Alberta. Trump wants all of Canada, right? He keeps saying that.
He wants
51st.
Well, I don't think they'll join. Maybe. I don't know. That's crazy. You're saying that Alberta will become its own country and then become its own country, join the U.S.
I can't see Alberta become their own country. I see Trump taking over Alberta and having it, or Alberta selling to the U.S. That's the only way I see it. But
because me, I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking, don't you have to be your own country first and then you can kind of join? Because you can't just take it from the Canada.
Right.
Because that's like,
yeah,
it's pretty bad.
A war going on.
There's a war, yeah. So I think like Alberta has to become their own country, and then say the next day, I guess, sign papers saying, "Hey, we want to join you, and we want to be the 51st state." I don't know, the 51st, or I don't know if Puerto Rico's a state. I don't know, or territory or something. So they want to be the 51st state, but we want this A, B, and C in 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
But Canada's so complicated. That's going to take billions of years to do. Like who's going to walk around seeing who lives in Alberta, who doesn't live in Alberta, who's a citizen, because U.S. doesn't just give away U.S. citizenships.
No.
So Alberta's. So if you're going to go around door to door and say, "Hey, do you live here?" Out of nowhere, you're going to see. So you're going to see Canadians move there that want to be American.
Yeah, I think that's.
You know what I mean? Like
get your citizenship
everybody,
quick. Yeah.
I think everybody's going to start because Alberta's cheap properties.
Yeah, relatively cheap compared to Ottawa or Toronto by a mile.
Ontario and BC. Oh yeah, Ontario and BC is really expensive. They can. I don't know. Alberta is cheaper, much cheaper.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're like. They have a lot of land. I don't know. I didn't even think of that. But so your wife's from Alberta and her family. What do they think about that, or do they?
Some relatives on her side are all for their independence, and like I said, they're
independence,
all
right?
Independence. A lot of them are upset that Poilievre didn't win. A lot of them are upset. Some of them don't like Trump. Some like Trump, but they live on basically farming and then natural resources, right? So that's how they live, and those things weren't in anyone's agenda, right?
I think Carney's from Alberta, no?
I don't know where. Supposedly he has 3 or 4 passports from everywhere else.
Yeah.
But I don't know where he's from.
He's European.
He's been living in the U.S. for I think the last 10 years and in Europe, right? So,
was Pierre Poilievre from Alberta? No.
Pierre Polyev did. No, I think he's.
Maritimes, I think. I think he said.
Can't remember where he is, but I know he spent quite a bit. I know the Albertans love him, and I know the whole West Coast like him. So
somebody just gave up his seat.
Correct.
Yeah, out of
out of Alberta.
Out of Alberta, yeah.
Correct.
So somebody's like, hey, that guy's gonna in the Conservative Party. That guy's gonna go down like a hero.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't have to worry for connections and jobs in the future.
For sure.
Yeah, that's probably a smart move on his point. And then, Canada just we elected the Liberal Party is now in power for 4 more years, and we elected Mark Carney, who's a banker.
Yep.
He was the ex-Bank of England. He's also was he CEO of Brookfield? Is that what he was?
He was high up at Brookfield,
Brookfield,
when he moved to the U.S.
And he was advisor for Trudeau. And he was advisor for
Harper. He worked for Harper. I think he was
2008.
But I think he was working at the banks when Harper was in charge, and they worked together or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I guess like they all know each other.
Correct.
They all know each other, type of thing. And hopefully Canada stops. That why I mentioned that Alberta is negotiating on their feet. It's because I'm worried for Canada negotiating on their knees. Do you know what I mean? You kind of like want Canada to be strong.
Correct. You need Canada to be strong. You need Canada to negotiate well on this, and
you want Canada to be strong. So like, Canada is very lucky to have companies like yours that's doing business with the U.S. and in Canada and like supplying metals, because if you're still a family-owned business,
correct,
which is rare, and a lot of times usually family-owned businesses are like scooped up by like, I don't know, venture capitalists or like fund companies. So they come around buying all the small steel companies or whatever, like metal companies, and then they merge one big one, and then
private equity keeps knocking on our door for sure.
For sure.
They would love to. They're buying up a lot of companies for sure. So
and these private equities, just so we're on the same page, aren't they mostly American?
Yeah, 100%. Man, they've been swallowing everyone. The private equity bought one of our competitors in Quebec. That was a family owned. That was probably the last family owned left in Canada.
And you guys knew each other.
We knew them. We knew of pretty much all our competitors. Well, I'd say on the East Coast would have been the last family company, and they were swallowed by basically an American company, right? American private equity. Private equities in the U.S. are spending a lot of money into construction, and they're coming and swallowing up companies.
Well, that's a good way to corner a market.
Yeah, 100%.
If you can't, and the thing is, the more that they buy, the more their value goes up. So if I have one metal company, that's okay, it's worth 3 times or 4 times the numbers. But if I have 10, then maybe they're worth 10 times. You know what I mean? Like the numbers go up like crazy, and then they just keep. You know how like people like understand mortgages, they like refinance and they buy more properties, Well, that's how private equities work. So the more they buy, the more they can go back to the bank, be like, look how many companies I have, look at their values, I'll buy more. And they just keep doing that. And that's a smart strategy. People should worry about that, actually.
Definitely. And
like if your family gave up, technically, if your family gave up and threw the towel, said, you know what, we'll sell to an American company. That's the last family-owned business or largest family-owned business in Canada.
Left, and like I said, we would never do it. I'm hoping to pass a legacy.
I'm just explaining.
Yeah, 100%.
So like, take it easy on the Canadians. Like, support them locally.
You got to support them. You got to do something. And then, as you know, with yourself having kids, there's no benefit of that the government gives family-owned companies. When I decide to give it to one of my kids or one of my nieces and nephews and pass down the generation, well, you know what? They're getting it. I can't give them a deal. I want to sell you the company. I can give you whatever deal I want. It can be under market. It can be over market. But when you're giving it to your kids, you have to get it appraised. And then you have to sell it at fair market value. You can't sell it as a deal, which is it's nonsense, right? So your kids are going to pay full price, where they could look, like you say, like in real estate, you can buy a house basically way under market, get a sweet deal. But for a business,
so even if you give the business to your kids, you have to sell to them at fair market value, and they have to you got to pay the capital gain on the sale.
100%.
Wow.
And that's why life insurance companies right now are going through the roof. People are getting huge life insurance policies
just to pay the capital gain to give to
their own kids. It's crazy.
Well, Sun Life is like making a killing then. Like those companies, like
all these companies, Curry Investments, Sun Life, all the big guys are.
Because if you think about it, it's the only way out of it. You got to buy the insurance to cover the cost of the sale. So you got to.
Yeah. Because
Just to give it-
if not, you're passing away, and your kids have to sell the company just to keep it running, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, or
Pay
go to
the
the
capital
bank,
gain, or the bank, or
they
get
gotta
the
pay
banks
interest.
involved, or again, these private equities are going to go in there and they're going to offer the world to.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. That is true. It's like a farm. That's how farmers lose their farms.
Farmers, 100%. That's exactly what's
I've
going
heard
on.
of this in the back of the day. So farmers lose their farms because instead of giving it to their kids, they can't, because 100 acres now is, when they first bought it, there was $1 an acre. And then they're selling it to their kids at $2,000 an acre. They have 100 of them, and then the kid's like, yo, I can't pay millions of dollars for the property, whatever, you know. So
Correct. And the capital gain, like you say, it's 50%. So let's say you had a business that's worth $1 million or $100 million or $500 million, half of it is capital gain. So all of a sudden, someone dies and you get a bill in the mail that you owe $250 million.
that's when the fund company shows up and takes it.
Correct. And it's sad to see, but that's how the businesses are leaving. That's how they're disappearing.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of it at your scale too. So you kind of like have to start getting your kids in the business now, but they can't. They're not even, like, you can't at 1 year old.
No, you can't.
No, so you
You're way too young right now to get in. But it's crazy. That's why, like you say, there's ways of trying to pass it down to generations, but
Cost a lot. Insurance
cost a lot.
Yeah.
Get the insurance going, and
That's crazy. Nobody thinks of those.
yeah, there's a lot, and then that's the stress. All these
The
stresses.
capital gains. Well, the capital gains was going up. They canceled it.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. They canceled it.
They put
They put up a freeze.
Put a
But
freeze on
Revenue
it.
Canada is still charging people the capital gain. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Just in case it does come back.
Just in case it was
It's
coming
like the
back.
tariffs. They're still charging you the tariff things, but
Yeah.
they don't know if it's here yet. Yours is tariff.
Ours is, but the
Yeah.
other ones they didn't know. So like
Yeah.
you say, they were charging it for a little bit, then they weren't charging it. But the capital gain right now went back to 50. So hopefully it stays to 50. And then
Which is very high. So
it's
just so the world
huge.
knows.
Very, very high.
You know, Pierre was mentioning something saying if you sell,
Correct.
and you reinvest your money. So if you sold whatever, let's say stocks or properties, whatever, instead of paying the capital gain,
Yeah.
the income on the sale, you can reinvest the money in Canada,
Yep.
and the capital gain wouldn't happen yet because you reinvested it. So it's still with you. Like the
Yep.
income hasn't received
Correct.
yet.
100%.
That was a good strategy.
It would have blown up Canada. That was a genius idea.
Yeah, stuff would sell.
So
People are not selling because they're like,
correct. People would not have all these tax havens, these Bahamas bank account in
Yeah.
Canada if you could do that, right? You'd reinvest it back in Canada. It's just crazy. If your capital gains would come right back into Canada. So the guy's selling his business because he can't do it anymore, or his kids don't want it. He sells his business, reinvests it in a Hydro Ontario stock or
whatever,
any
bank
type
stock
of
or
bank
something.
stock. The bank all of a sudden, RBC or Scotia or whoever gets a massive amount of
Dividend.
investor dividends in there, and you keep it in Canada, or he buys a new business and he keeps reinvesting it, right?
buys a building that
Buys a building.
whatever it is. Yeah. No, that's I
That
guess.
was one.
And
that's-
keeping the money in Canada is nice, and
Correct.
they're developing more. So you invest in like REITs or like you said, banks, and there's more money out, and
Oh, yeah, but like you say, the capital gain at 50% when you're selling
that's
your
very
business,
high start.
and then you're investing in stocks.
Because U.S. has that. I think U.S. has that where you can sell and reinvest. Let's say real estate, and there's no capital gain that gets triggered because the money's still invested.
Well, a lot of the states have barely any capital gains. So that's the big advantage of going to the States. Some of them have it, some don't. With a little bit of research I had done, and then you got a lot of countries that don't have any, right? So if you're going to just have a bank account in Bahamas, for example, or any of those places, and you're investing $1 million in the stock market and you double it, triple it, well, that's all yours compared to here. You're giving half to the government. And the worst is you paid taxes on your money to reinvest it, right? So you've double paid your taxes.
So, like, in your mind, is it risky to just only do business in Canada, or that's why you're thinking about expanding to the U.S. because it's better to like have two? Like, is it just risky to stay in Canada only? Like, do you feel like because you're not the first person that like brought up like the expansion? Like, I know a lot of people are like trying to figure out a way to like have a business in the U.S. or even Alberta or property in Alberta, like, or something like that, or like even they're thinking about South America even, or Central America, and you're thinking like, wow, there's a lot of people that are talking like this.
You really think about, like I said, we would have loved to go coast to coast through Canada, had different places in Canada, but now you're thinking about it. If your business is relying on government level in Canada, and then for your U.S. sales, you're relying on government, and then their fights, and then your business is suffering, then you got to think outside the box, or you got to think, let's say, what's better for your business, and maybe it is to have a place in the U.S., maybe it's to have a place in, like you said, Mexico or wherever else, or keep going into Canada if they're gonna help out Canadian businesses. So you got to look after it, but
because I know a lot of Canadians thinking that way.
Many doctors now, including mine, family doctors, you can't get them for the life of you, right? And they're going to the U.S. because there's no capital gain. They're going to Florida, enjoying life out there, and
because let's say a doctor, let's say a dentist owns 5 clinics. He wants to sell his clinics. He's about to get wrecked on capital gain, or whatever it is, right?
100%. Yeah.
And it's a very hard business to. It's a very hard. I don't know how to explain. It's very hard to find buyers. So usually you want to give it to your kids. I didn't know that it's fair market value. You have to sell it to your kids. I always thought there was some sort of like maximum. It's your family, I guess.
No, there's no help whatsoever when you're giving your basically kids, nieces. I bought some of my uncle out and my father, and like I said, we had to get ideal evaluated in that transaction. It's crazy.
So it's like Stewart. No, is it called Stewart? Chicago evaluation. Like there's types
different
of
evaluations. Yeah, you got to get through evaluation, and then it's crazy.
That's time too.
Time, money. It's crazy, and then on top of it, you're running your business, and you got to keep it going, right? So
you got to market, get clients in.
Yeah.
Hopefully, close the client.
Yeah.
Get the metal work. Do a good job bending and getting the metal work, shipping it. Because you guys do everything, even the shipping and the...
Correct. Yeah, we got 65 trucks on the road with 95 trailers, let's say. So we're constantly on the road, shipping everywhere. Like you say, we're bringing it in. Logistics is there, everything's there, and we're delivering it twice a week in most areas on top of it, right? So
yeah. And 100-year-old company.
Yeah, almost 100 years. In 2029 will be 100 years.
And right now you got guys telling your company how to do your stuff, and that just like they're born 30 years ago. They're like saying, "This is not how you run your business. This is how
it's crazy.
It's tough. It's tough
to be in business in Canada is, like you said, the taxes, the union you mentioned.
Union. So like a lot of people don't understand how union works, and I remember. So people know at home. So Phil and I went to high school together, and I remember Phil making a presentation about unions. I didn't even know what a union was till Phil showed up, but that's because you were going through a union takeover, I guess, a hostile takeover during
negotiations. Yeah.
But didn't you guys have security to go in and out of your building?
100%.
Yeah. So let people know what unions are. So when people say union, because a lot of people in Canada, I guess, in the capital, like government employees are unionized. But a lot of people don't understand what. The rest of Canada don't understand how, or not. There's a lot of people at home that doesn't understand what unions are, or even the Americans, or even, especially like South America, Central America, or Africa.
Correct.
Let people know what unionize or unionization means.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny you talked about that project. I got one hell of a good grade on that one.
I remember that. Yeah, that's very good. I paid attention. Like, what is going on?
In the midst of the whole union, but 100%, like you said, Danny. Way back when they were doing the railway, unions were formed, and it was good, right? You'd have a bomb go off, you'd be digging, or you'd be doing something like that. Someone would have his arm ripped off. All of a sudden, the owner would just say, "Okay, well, you can't work today. I'm going to go get 20 more," and there'd be 20 more people lined up, and he would replace you instantly, right? So you needed unions back in the day. Now you can't do that, as you know, as a businessman. You can't fire someone just because you don't like them, or just because they're too slow, or they're not working hard enough. So there's rules.
Especially if they blow their arm off.
Right, 100%. So you can't do those things anymore. So I find unions, if you're paying huge union fees, they're there, and then they're becoming basically these monsters. They're becoming almost the mafia controlling your business. So they're in there, they're regrouped, and they're all these monster conglomerate together. It's no longer just a small union. They're part of different companies, many companies, and then they all unionize together, and then they go after the business owner.
So a union is actually a company.
Well, they're
a third party
regrouping, yeah.
So it's a third party company that's a union. They're called, like, let's say, what's a union called?
Ours is United Steelworkers.
So United Steelworker is a company that has like a CEO. It has
They have a president that runs it. Let's say all of it, and then they put team leaders or leaders in different companies.
But they're not non for profit. They're for profit.
They're supposed to be non for profit.
Oh, okay,
they're non for profit.
Okay, for the non for profit. Okay, and they appoint somebody at every job.
In the companies, and then they'll have a leader, and then there's a guy that's
they'll come in and say, let's say, hey, Johnny, you're the leader at Ideal Roofing. So at your place, you have somebody who's a union representative.
Yeah, okay. But he's voted in from the union. So if you have a business of 100 employees, if 50 people all of a sudden say that they wanted to join the union, then they come in, and then you're stuck with them, and then you're at their mercy.
So if you have 100 people, 50 people go into, they call unions. They'll call the union like, hey, we're 50 guys.
No, the unions are probably already knocking on the doors, right? If you're a carpenters union, if you're any unions, you see a big company like, let's say, Ideal Roofing ours, way back when they first formed, they're knocking on their door. They're saying, hey guys, you guys should unionize. We're going to give you this. We're going to be
protect you.
We're there for you. Meanwhile, all the laws are there. The laws are there to be protected, right?
Yeah.
But they're just knocking on their doors and telling them that you're going to get this, you're going to get this, we're going to be bigger. We're going to go up to the owners and we're going to have more. But if you guys go on strike, we're going to give you $20 a day. But they don't tell them $20 a day. They tell them we're going to pay you to be outside picketing every day.
Plus $20 instead of what they're usually
getting, right? Yeah. Exactly. But I just find the unions are there to sabotage the business to a certain point, right? They're there to try to get more money, try to get everything. They're not understanding, and then they
throw a pizza party once a year or something.
Yeah, and the big thing is it's no longer performance driven. If I have a team, an amazing employee that does so well, I can't go up to him and give him a raise or give him a gift card or give him anything because the union's there. The union wants it for everyone, right? So it's protecting the weak. Is sad to say. It's
like a communist style.
Yeah, you got everything.
So the guy who barely works is getting paid more than the guy who works very hard because he was hired before.
Well, yeah, correct. So they're protected. It goes by seniority, and they're voted. They keep their seniority in, so it's protecting. It's really protecting the weak, right? Because you would never fire your most performing guy.
No,
you would never give him hell the most performing guy, unless he does a big error or something like that. But again, you couldn't fire him because he's your most performing guy. But the guy that is not performing, that's always late, absenteeism through the roof, he's being protected with an extra layer. He's already protected in Canada. It's hard to fire someone. You did 3 strikes and you documented.
So God forbid something happens to Ideal, not making as much money this year. Tariffs are really bad. Okay, let's just say. You got to go and fire some people because that's how it works. People don't know how it works. You're not going to go and fire yourself, so you got to go fire employees. So you go fire employees. You got to go down. You got to call unions and say, I got to fire 5 guys. I'm sorry. They'll fire the guys who just joined, not the worst players.
Correct.
They'll fire the guys who just. You're like, no, I like this guy. This guy Larry is doing great. He's pumping out 10 times more than the other guy. I can't keep him.
Fire or layoffs. You got to lay off basically the youngest, the newest guys.
Yeah, the newest guys.
The newest guys. Sometimes they're good, the worst sometimes they're bad. So, but you have no say on it, right? It's
that
crazy.
Sucks.
It's crazy, and they come in. Like you say, they came in way back when, railroad times, and they were worth it. Now I find they're not worth it anymore, and you're paying union dues, you're paying all that protection, and then
they're paying it. The employees paying it.
They're paying it. Yeah, and then it's a big threat on the business. And then the biggest thing I found is, like you said, during the high school, we went through one big strike where we went for, I think it was 3 months of a full strike, and
half the players weren't going.
All the shop employees were on strike. We had basically hired help that was coming in. We had a lot of our office staff that were going to run machines, and we had some guys that were crossing. Like you said, you only need 50% of your employees that want it. So the other 50% don't want the union, but they're stuck having a union. So some of them crossed the lines, let's say the ticketing lines, and they came to help. Others were outside ticketing. Some of them were harassing the family. Some of them were following me to school. That's why, again, you'd call the police. Police are unionized. So they weren't doing anything, right? They're unionized. They're supporting the union. So we'd had picketers at my mom's house outside 24/7.
They went to your house?
Oh, yeah. All the house.
Oh, you're in high school?
My house, my uncle's house. And then, so we had we had 2 ex-military guys that were securities that were following me to school. They would fire my sister. They came. We had to pay them to just escort us so that we would be able to get to
Because they want to pay more to have a leader.
Because they want more pay, and they wanted more pay at the time, and
they just couldn't ask you for more pay. They wanted to do that.
Yeah. Well, we offered. They didn't like our offer. They wanted the moon, right? Some people were asking for 10%. I don't know what it was back then. Like I said, I was very young. It was a lot more, but People want 10%. You look right now, if someone wanted 10%, everyone wants 10, 15% because of the inflation rate, but you can't pay it. We're getting tariffs. We're losing business. It's slow.
It's very small margins, yeah.
So the margins are not there. So we can't keep paying and paying and paying. And then all of a sudden, they're going to say, okay, we're going on strike because we want the moon. They're going to go on strike. And then that's the worry is when...
You know what's funny is that I think I read something, an article a long time ago when I was younger. So McDonald's doesn't have a union. So McDonald's is the largest employee, like one of the largest companies in the world that employs the most employees. They don't have a union because every location has X amount of full-time staff and it's run by part-time staff. And to have a union, you have to have X amount of full-time staff. I don't know. Let's say it's 10.
Yeah.
And they will only hire up to 8 or 9. They'll never have more than 8 or 9 full-time staff, and the rest are part-time staff because part-time staff can't be unionized. So that's why all McDonald's are not union. It's a math.
That's why. I didn't know that.
There's like a math to it. That's why.
If it is, I'll read up on it. But
you can't do that. You have hundreds of employees.
Correct. We're way too big. But you look at Quebec Amazon. Like that's the one I read pretty closely. So Quebec's a very unionized province.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they tried to get. Basically, they got a bunch of Amazon's blowing up, right? They're building everywhere. There's almost 3. I think there's 3 in Ottawa, and then so in Quebec they were building all over. All of a sudden, they got word that a union was starting to form. They closed everything. They went back every building of Amazon in Quebec. They took the keys and brought it back to the government. And here's the keys. We're out of here because it was that big of a risk on Amazon to have a union come in.
Oh, really? They asked for union right away.
They asked for union. They tried to get the union in there.
Was it like Montreal?
All of Quebec. I don't know where exactly it was, but in all of Quebec, they closed them all down. Jeff Bezos said, "Screw this! I'm not getting a union."
Does he have any in Toronto?
In Toronto?
Did they try that in Toronto?
There's no union whatsoever everywhere else in Canada. Okay. There's just Quebec that now have no more Amazon.
So they lost all their.
They all lost all the Amazon.
Man, an Amazon in Quebec would be great. Like for them.
100%. Right now, it's just going to come from Ontario or the East Coast, right? It's going to come from our warehouse and it's going to be shipped out there anyways.
Oh, so they lost a lot of jobs. So the municipality was pissed.
I would imagine all of them would be pissed. Big empty buildings too that were built for it.
Yeah, they didn't care. To them, it's chump change. Yeah. I'll build a building and leave.
Correct.
That's nothing.
It costs less than having a union is what they're figuring, right?
So now they have this huge building with nobody in it.
Yeah.
Well, no one's going to pay rent in that building.
No.
Those are huge. They're actually like purpose-built Amazon buildings.
They're 2 million square foot buildings. Yeah. Like I don't know what they could possibly do with them. And like you say, they're purpose-built for
Amazon. I bet you like there's Amazon like little robots going around.
It was set up for their systems, right? For their, I imagine, docking bays, their loading bays, the shelves, and with all the little robots, automations they had.
So that municipality just lost probably 5,000 jobs. Perfect. It's like 5,000 jobs. I don't know, like 5,000 people probably work at a 1 million square foot building.
There'd be a lot. I don't know 5,000, but there'd be a lot.
Three places for probably 3,000 jobs.
At least
3,000
probably
jobs.
3,000 to 5,000 jobs at least for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's like all of our government employees in Ottawa, like all D&D, 5,000 or 8,000. You know what I mean? Like office jobs.
It's big. There's a big amount. Like a lot of people, and people are not realizing that. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, because all those people lose. Then the restaurants that can serve them lose. The taxis that would drive around, Uber drivers that would drive around would lose. The gas station would lose.
All the drivers doing the Amazon packages are normally not Amazon drivers, right? So everyone loses on that.
Everyone loses. So that union scared off 3 buildings.
Well, more than 3 buildings. There's a lot of buildings that were...
Oh, like Amazon buildings, like 3 you said, no?
Well, three just in Ottawa. So I could just imagine throughout Canada.
So Quebec, all of them closed?
All of them closed.
Oh, wow.
To avoid the union. I don't know how many there was, but...
Wow. Amazon doesn't play around, eh? They just pack up and go.
Yeah.
You know what? Amazon is a smart, real business. They must know something that we all don't know.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to do that. You're a family-owned business. You can't just pack up and go. Like, you can't just move from Ottawa to like...
It would be very tough. Right now, like I said,
No, I meant like back then. As
correct. Back then. But like I said, we had a competitor out in Quebec. That's what they did. They closed. The owners closed the door. Basically said, "I'm closing the business down," and locked the door. And it went for a year to try to get the union out, and then after that, but it was never the same after it reopened. So a lot of businesses
Oh, he tried to
to get it out complete,
and he
completely couldn't do it. So Walmart guys with like endless deep pockets can do it. Right now we have great negotiations. Let's say we have good relationships with our union. It's working well, but at times when I was in high school, it definitely was tough, and it makes it for a different negotiation than if it's just an employee. And I find it's too bad for the employees that are part of the union.
Yeah, because it's easier for me to negotiate with the union than negotiate with employees, actually, because then they know, like, oh, you want money, I know you want, what do you want, okay, this is what you're gonna get, you know, it's back and forth, emails 2 weeks later, you know, like, it's union, they're not like a real, you know, it's like, it's a government kind of thing, it's like, yeah, they get back to you 1 week later, 2 weeks later, there you go, there, okay, what do you guys want, no, we want this, okay, he wants a Friday off on every 3 weeks, whatever, okay, you know, but if you negotiate with the person, there's a heart, there's like, oh, my kids are not doing well. You gotta hear their story, which is harder than dealing with.
But you understand it, and like I said, we're family owned company. That's why a lot of people love to work for us. Yeah. But you lose some of it, right? You lose that talking to employees.
No, you're not talking to employees.
You're not talking to employees. You're talking to one person negotiating for them, and it's sad.
He thinks he's like their lawyer.
Yeah. And it's being done through lawyers, right? So again, the cost of it, it's our lawyers doing the whole negotiation.
Yeah, that's true too. So the cost on both sides, and the cost trickles down to the customers who have to pay more.
Yeah, 100%.
So when the customer's paying more, because everyone, and the thing is, your union, does that give you any extra jobs having unions? Like,
no.
Is there any benefit to you as an owner?
No, none.
No way.
None. I guess carpenters union, let's say the HVAC, plumbers union. Sometimes you see them on government buildings, but for us as a manufacturer, there isn't at all, and that's the worst part.
Oh, they do have
on certain trades. The trades have
carpenters have one.
Carpenters
but
have
not
one.
Metal. Metal roofing, no.
Metal roofing, metal manufacturing don't have any. The installers might, but not the manufacturing doesn't.
No way. No. Yeah, because.
So
for you, it's quality and price. They don't care that you're in a union, you're a part of any gang or club. They just want the price and metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? People can learn a lot. That was 30 years ago, right? What was it like? You're like.
Right now,
not 30 years ago. That was 20 years ago. 25 years ago?
Give or take one.
Don't we have our high school reunion coming? It's 20 years or 25 years?
25 years or 20 years? It was 20-year high school reunion.
Yeah, so 20 years.
I'm 37, so yeah, it makes sense.
So 20 years ago was when you had that. It took 20 years. Now the union and you are good, but after 20 years of relationship.
Well, every negotiation is always tense, for sure. So every 3 or 4 years when they negotiate, it always goes up and down. So it's...
Yeah, so the easiest union to be is the one for the government, because it's like a pre-negotiating year,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Government rights.
The government ones, and then the hospitals, the staff, the employees of the hospitals, they have their unions. Teachers have their unions as well. But again, like I said, the teachers' union is a perfect example. They're not allowed to strike anymore because the government has it, which is good. But they were used to strike. The kids would be punished. Everyone would be punished. It made no sense for them to win their argument.
Yeah, the kids couldn't see their friends. They couldn't see their teachers. Couldn't go to school. They're bored at home.
Yeah, and it makes
watching TV.
People like ourselves then need to take time off to watch our kids. Like it's
with okay, grandma's gone one day.
Or shuffling the grandparents.
You don't know where you're dropping off your kids anymore.
Just to try to go to work, and you need to go to work, right? Because everything's so.
You gotta pay. You gotta pay for. You gotta pay to keep them home now. Yeah. I know we gotta wrap this up, but I wanted to ask you if you had to debunk something when it comes to roofing, if you had to debunk something, what people think about roofing, what's the number one thing you can tell somebody about roofing, how it works?
Well, like you mentioned, the ideal roofing, because of the name, we get a lot of people think we're installing. We're strictly the manufacturer.
Yeah, I know that, but that's why I try to stop and like I said in the beginning.
So we're the manufacturer, and so many myths out there. For residential, especially, let's say, that's the big one. People compare asphalt to steel, and I've heard everything is steel loud, or raindrops, am I gonna hear it? Yeah. Those are the old tin barns that had no insulation, that was completely open, that you would hear raindrops on it, right? And people now, so when we're switching from asphalt that has basically no lifetime, a windstorm rips off your asphalt shingles, they last maybe 10 to 15 years, and you're going to steel.
That's pretty good, 15 years if you get it.
If you get it, like you say. And then steel, you're getting 50 year, full warranty, full transferable for 50 years. So that's what I think people really need to look at alternatives. You want to protect your house. You're going to spend, I just laugh, people put $100,000 on a kitchen, and then they go to the cheapest shingle in the world for the roof. that leaks or weather, storm, anything happens, your $100,000 kitchen is ruined, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
And like 30 grand to fix the leaks in the roofs.
Yeah. And every 15 years you're replacing that roof. Where metal, you do it once, never have to do it again.
My in-laws, they got a blue roof off you.
Correct.
A couple years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, before it's cool. I heard now, just to talk about it, there's a thing online, conspiracy theories or theorists. They think the blue roof is going to protect them from some laser beam. Has your blue roof sale went up since this conspiracy went out?
I remember that roof. Like you say, it's
a nice. I like the roof.
nice. It's a very nice roof.
It's blue.
And yeah, he liked it. He decided to go with it and loved it. And I'd say we are selling a lot of blue roofs. I don't know if it's a conspiracy.
I don't know. Did you hear about this?
I heard about it. I heard about it. No,
okay.
I've heard about it, and I had some customers even trying to push it that way, saying,
really?
Yeah. You never know, right? Whatever can get your sale, but we sell a lot of blue roofs. Blue suits to a lot of different houses, but I don't know. It was shock. Of course, blacks are still the top colors, but for blue to sell that much, certain times you wonder, and then you hear these things on the internet, and you wonder.
Yeah, just so people know, like when it comes to metal, you can pick almost any color you want, right? It's
Correct.
Basically like a
got a wide range of different colors. Like you mentioned, we got wood imitations now for siding.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Used to get vinyl for your siding. Now you go with metal. You get 40-year warranty on it. Wood imitation, so no maintenance compared to wood. We're working on different models as well. The paint now these days looks it's crazy how it evolved, right? The steel panels that look like wood, and you wouldn't tell till you get close to it, and you can even feel it, and it's a bit of a rough surface to it, right? So
you showed me a piece and it looked like wood.
Correct.
Yeah, and they stick really well with the other pieces, and like this looks
exactly like wood. Yeah.
That's really cool. It's a very new product, I'm guessing.
New product for sure. Our Galanta steel siding there. It's growing. It's blowing up like crazy. A lot of developers are using it to get that wood accent. They're getting just a solid color for the rest, and then they're doing the wood accents under windows or here and there. And it's growing for sure.
Very nice. I think that's what we're getting. Yeah. We're getting the wood stuff. You know what? It's been a pleasure. I'm gonna let everyone know. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks so much for having you on. I hope you can come back.
Yeah.
Hope you want to come back on our show, and I guess you and I see each other again end of the month at our high school reunion.
High school reunion. Yeah.
So there it is.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And anything you want to say, or you're good? Yeah.
No, like I said, thank you very much for taking the time. It was a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. All right. Thanks.